top of their screen, I am indeed recording this session where I will then post them to a YouTube channel that I run for those of you that haven't been in any of my classes. You can always see recordings posted there. I linked the recording to this class into the recap that I will send out afterwards. And with all that being said, before we dive into the class, I'm going to ask that everybody remains muted throughout the entirety of the session. If you have questions throughout the session, please utilize the chat feature and pop them into there. I will address all questions at the end, where you can feel free to unmute yourself at that time. Okay, rolling into it. Adobe Premiere Pro is an amazing video editing tool, and actually a fairly common one. My background is in arts and entertainment and market research. This is something that we used a ton. It's an industry standard. And for those of you that are familiar with Adobe products already, you know that it can be very intimidating to kind of jump into them blind. In this class, we'll discuss the most common tools that you will run into while using Premiere, and that way you can get started editing as soon as possible. Now, obviously, to note, Coldwell Banker does not provide this software, and it is not free software either. Adobe Premiere Pro on an individual level, I believe, costs about $29.99 a month, and you can basically pay monthly to access the software online and download it to your computer and utilize it that way. I am not advocating for anybody needing this software as a part of their marketing program at all. This is for those that are interested in utilizing this software, because as I said, it is a fairly strong industry standard that I think that is fairly simple to operate and will definitely do everything you need on a basic level, from simple editing of a video that we'll do in my example today for purposes of like a YouTube channel or Instagram or things like that, or for more complicated things if you're shooting big elaborate listing videos and whatever you need to do. This is a software that has a wide range to it. So that's why we're going over it today, and it's also one that I'm very familiar with. So again, that's why we're going over it today. But you do not need this as a part of your plan, and there are other softwares and free versions of other softwares that are available. I just want to make sure that if anybody is interested in this, you best know how to operate it before you make that kind of jump. All of that digression aside, how does this whole process start? So the whole thing actually, and I think the biggest thing that is left out with people that talk about this kind of software and video editing software in general, is workflow. From the get-go, regardless of what software you're using, it all starts with how prepared are you on a workflow front, and how organized are your assets prior to migrating them into whatever software you may be using, which in our case is Premiere Pro. Now, for anybody that's taken any of my other sessions, you guys know that procedure, process, and organization are a big thing for me. This is a space where you can, I would say, easily end up discouraging yourself from investing into it, as well as frustrate yourself if you don't take the added moments to organize yourself prior to diving into an editing project. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen, and we'll get rolling from here, and everyone can kind of see where I take over. Just a general disclaimer: if I cut out for whatever reason because of internet quality or things like that, my excellent SSA, Genevieve, is here in the class. She will just kind of anchor you guys until I get back. It's pretty rare, but if it does happen, I'm usually gone for no more than 120 seconds. All right, all disclaimers aside, let's go ahead and jump into my desktop. Everybody should now be looking at my screen. And like I said, this all starts with workflow. So the most important thing that we want to look at is how organized is your system. Now, you don't have to use my example to the T. I'm doing this because it's easy for me and easy for teaching purposes. So everything in my case is going to be organized right here on my desktop. I've got a folder that I built called Marketing Videos. And then in that folder, I organize the videos that we're making day by day, and I organize them by date. Again, that's just because that it's easiest for me to do. we're going to work on a video. Today is the 20th, so I have created a folder called May 20th. And in that folder, I have added my assets. Now, when I say asset, what do I mean? I mean anything that I will be using in conjunction for creating this video. Much like when we talk about assets for your listing, they are anything that you are using in conjunction to marketing that property. Same thought processes here in regards to how you want to build the content for what's going into that video. In this case, there is the video itself that I recorded on my cell phone, which is me talking to my agents, and it's a video that I want to utilize to be able to put in a in-touch blast that I'm going to email out to people. So I've already shot the video. I uploaded it to my OneDrive off of my phone and downloaded it to my computer. I've got separate sessions that talk about those whole steps, so I'm not going to go into the nuts and bolts of that here. We're going to stay on topic. I also have a bumper. This is just for example purposes. This is a video that I have that's for another organization, but it's just for, again, for example purposes to give you guys an idea. If you've got any kind of marketing that you have created that represents your brand, that shows up consistently before videos, like if you're doing listing videos or market update videos or just community related videos, whatever the case may be, you always want to make sure these are opportunities to leverage a brand and create an identity within the market space. So you should very much be considering something like that as a part of the process. And for examples purposes, it allows me to show you guys editing multiple videos in this stream that we will be working on. So that's what else is involved here. And music. I'm going to have a little music playing underneath me during the video that features me talking. Music I got out of YouTube from their free library. If you guys have taken my YouTube class, I've revamped the session into a part A, part B, redoing them next week. Highly recommend you take those, but this is just something I grabbed out of that free library. It's royalty free, so I don't have to worry about any complications there. And these are the three components that are going to make up my video. The cell phone video I shot, the bumper that goes before the video that is a part of my brand, so the two videos that I am combining together, and then the music that will run underneath. Now that everything has been prepared, these are the parts that I'm going to use. I am going to go ahead and get ready to launch Adobe and start editing this video. Before I do that, I am going to create one last folder now that all my assets are here and call it Project. This project folder, in line with keeping our workflow organized, is going to be where we assign everything in Adobe to save and create in relation to our timeline. So this means that anything that we auto save, anything that we put into the project, any kind of manual save that we do will automatically generate in that project folder. You don't have to do this, but again, for organization purposes, I find that it makes my life a ton simpler because as you can see, for example, for my May 13th, everything is here and my project is all organized in one system with its previews and autosaves and all of that. And I don't have to worry about digging through my computer to get to Adobe folders to find anything. So now we're all set, we're all prepped, and we're ready to go. I am going to go ahead and open Adobe Premiere Pro, which should open any second now. It is a fairly large program, and I am streaming a recording, so do mind my computer's struggle to open the software, but I will be right here during this commercial break, rambling to a screen, and now, perfect, we are open. I'm going to go ahead and minimize this window just to make sure you guys have a nice full screen view. A lot of you guys will, if you don't use the software and you haven't used the software in the past, you will have to create an Adobe account, much like a Microsoft account. This is what is used to control your access to the software. Earlier, I talked about Adobe costing $29.99 a month, and This is how you would manage and download that software to different machines. I am going to go ahead and log into my Adobe account here. Luckily, nobody can see my password, and here we go. Do ignore the screen that you're going to see here. This is because I have multiple machines that use this. I am going to just sign one of them out because I am obviously teaching a class. Now, once you have logged into Adobe, the first thing you're going to see is, think of this like a dashboard of sorts for the program. You're going to see a window that should open up any second that will allow us to either open an existing project or create a new one. And as you guys can see from that little blue wheel, my computer is still thinking, but it should open up that window for us at any moment. While I'm waiting for that to happen, I did see my little bar click here. Oh, it opened. All right. Well, I was going to see if there was a question that popped up, but we'll get back to that at the end. All right. As I was saying, we are in a window now that talks about where we can create a new project, open an existing project, or view any recent projects. There are also built-in libraries full of great tutorials that talk about tons of deep dive, like getting way into the weeds on what you can do in Adobe. I will link to those in that recap that I talked about sending to you guys. So I'm not going to get into too much of them here. But again, there is a bunch of resources to get you going with this. And it's really not that hard. So we're going to start by creating a new project that is called May 20, because I want to call it the name of my video. And this is what we're going to change. So right now we've got the location. The default is probably going to be whatever the Adobe file created when you installed the software. What we're going to do is hit this browse button right next to it and change the location in which the saves are happening. So what I'm going to do is go to my desktop, go into my marketing videos folder, and go into that appropriate date and click project. I want everything saved in this project folder, and I am going to hit save, and that is where everything will go. You do not need to fuss with these settings down here. Way more advanced than we're going to get into, and way more advanced than even the more complicated editing for this stuff will involve. So again, don't fuss with any of that. All you need to do is change where the video and the project is being saved and what it is being called right above that. After that, go down to the bottom, hit OK, and we are in Adobe Premiere Pro. This is the editing space where you will work. Now, much like a lot of different kinds of software, this editing space can be tailored and moved around and changed, and you can add and remove things based on how you would like to view the software. Mine is fairly standard to the basic setup. That way you guys can get an idea of what you're going to look at. But let's talk a little bit of navigation to get started. Much like any program, we've got File all the way on the top left. This is like in anything that you would expect. File will allow you to open new projects or create new sequences, to open projects, to close projects, to save as a copy, to sync things if you have anything connected to this. Don't need to talk about that. To import files, to export files when you're ready to finish, and to exit the program. Edit will take you to a quick little editing bar that is, again, much like you would see it in any Microsoft program you are looking at. And then we start to get more detailed about this program in general. Clip refers to specific clips that are in the timeline. Sequence refers to the sequence in the timeline itself. And now when I say timeline over and over again, I am talking about the section in which the video and all of the assets go and get organized through a literal timeline from 0 to whenever the video is going to end. And that's the space in which the sequence lives, like a sequence of events occurring over time. Markers If you set any markers for fade in, fade out, timestamps, things like that, this is where you can edit those. Graphics, much like it sounds like, will allow you to edit more complicated graphics that you are adding to a video. I'm not going to get into any of those here because, as you heard me say, complicated, not what we're talking about in the 100 level. View will allow you to change the resolution of the playback that you get to see in the editor. Put a pin in that. I'll get to it later. Window is what we were talking about at the very start. This is where you can turn things on and off, like this color section that I have here. If I uncheck that, actually, let's close that panel and it will go away. And if I wanted to add a panel, it's just as easy as clicking on something and turning it on. And then you can adjust its size and move it if you would like it to be elsewhere. Let's talk about some of these panels as they exist. The initial ones that you will see out of the gate are the control sequence and sphere, which you'll see up here on the left. Now we're looking, actually, before I dive into that, what we're looking at right here is the editing panel, which is a part of this whole space. Now, this space can change based on the type of panel you are in at the very top. Editing is where everything will start. As you can see directly to the left of that is assembly. And what that did was make the import section super large and will allow you to browse the computer for files that you are importing. We will get to that in just a moment. Directly to the left of that is learning. As I had said when I had opened the program, there is a great big space in which you can edit and find great information about how to use this software. The Learning tab is a quick access point to that. Going back to editing, you will see the effects panel pop back up. Program right here, that window I am now selected and boxed, is where you will see the preview of everything you were working on. Timeline is where everything will lay out once everything is put in. And then, as we saw earlier, this window right here is where we will add our media itself. Hitting color will open up another editing field, which will allow you to edit the color of everything that is there. Effects, audio, and graphics are just as they sound. They will allow you to, in the editing panels that pop up, as you can see, will open up whatever appropriate space is needed. Before I get into the details and all that, because I know it might sound like a lot, I'm going to pause, take a break to say that a lot of this stuff is preloaded into the system. When I'm talking about audio effects, graphics, things like that, there are tons of samples that you can use that are already here. So let's talk about actually working in this space, because like I said, this can be manipulated to fit your needs and do what you need. But if you just wanted to do something basic, like I am, to edit a video, to throw into an email that I'm sending to people that I want to reach out to, I am going to go ahead and go back to this editing tab right up here so I can open my main panel. I'm going to go ahead and close this color window. And as you can see, each space that you're working in has these little hamburger 3 lines that will allow you to not only identify which sequence you're looking at, program, timeline, this is the actual project space, and this is the effects control. All of these will allow you to open, group the panels, etc., and open up that submenu. If we wanted to edit something, we've got everything all nicely sorted before we jumped into this program in our folders already, right? So this is all easy. All we need to do is click on this panel right here and double click on Import Media to start. That's going to open up a window that will allow us to choose the folder. I'm going to go to my desktop, click on Marketing Videos, go to May 20th, and I'm going to select the 3 assets I need for this video. Do not select the project folder because the project folder obviously is associated to everything being saved out of the system. We don't need to import anything from that system, from that folder. I'm going to select our song, our bumper, and the main video we shot, and hit open. And just like that, all our files are going to be added right here, and this is everything we need to work with. As you can see, this panel is really large. When I hover over a panel change point, you can see my arrow change to one of those size markers. This will allow me to grab something and click and hold and squish it over. So this way, my timeline is nice and big and easy to work with, which makes it easy for you guys to see. So here's what I'm going to do. This video called vid and a bunch of numbers. If you have an Android phone, that's probably what your videos are going to look like. If you have an iPhone, they might say iMovie, blah, 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 or something like that. But that's my main video. That's where everything starts from. That's what everything's going to get built around. If you were to go File and go New and go Sequence, you would see a ton of settings in here. Like, oh my God, what am I going to do with all of this? I don't know what any of this means. Don't have to fuss with any of this at all. All we have to do is click on our video, our main video right here that we've already shot and that we're going to base everything around. I'm going to right click and I'm going to select New Sequence from Clip. That is going to move my video, and as you can see, my beautiful face right up here in the preview window, it's going to drop me into the timeline where you can see my video right here, and then the audio from that video pop up underneath it. Now let's talk about why I did that, because you guys saw all of those crazy settings. Importing the video like this and creating a sequence from the video will allow Adobe's program to adjust all of the settings for that specific video for the sequence and create it for these settings for the camera that the video is taking it from. What does all that gibberish mean? It means things like ISO, frame rate, white balance, etc. are all being adjusted off of the camera that you are importing the video from. So whatever settings the camera took are the settings that the video will edit from, including the aspect ratio. So if your camera is taking things in 1080p, it will adjust the video to be 1080p. If it's taking them in 720, it'll be in 720. If it's doing it in 4K, it'll do it in 4K. However, asterisk, your computer needs to be able to output in that high of a definition. 9 times out of 10, we're working in 1080p, which is your standard high-def television or video rate, I should say. In the timeline, you will see a literal timeline starting from 0, moving across to just about 1 minute where my video ends. I can scrub along, and you can see right here in the preview window where you can literally preview my video. If I hit spacebar,
register for not just stuff I'm doing, but all the great material.
It will play and pause. You also have controls right here: play, pause. You can fast forward. You can scrub to the end, and you can add markers if you would like to add markers. Fit is going to adjust how big this window is, the video is within that window, and this little half here is the render bar. This will allow me to adjust the quality of the preview
available
I am looking at. So I lowered it now to quarter quality. That will allow me and my computer, more importantly, to function a little bit easier. The higher quality that preview is going to be, the more stress your computer has to work under to be able to generate that preview for you. So I just went ahead and lowered it because obviously my computer is doing a lot as it is. Once you're in here, you'll see, obviously I noted this is my video. And when you select it, you can see the effects control populates with video controls. Things like motion, which will allow me, for example, to adjust the scale. And you can see the scale moving in and out. Woo, look at that. Put it back to 100. You can also position the frame by clicking the position bar, and that will drop in actual adjustment windows, and if you wanted to do it like that, you could do it like that as well. But again, I'm going to keep it at 100%. You've also got an anchor point. I'm not going to go into any of these things in too much specific because they're not really needed, but you can also, under here, you can see speed. If I wanted to create a time lapse, I could increase the speed for 200% and time lapse the video and have everyone move in real fast motion. That's where everything would happen there. And when I click on audio, that little thing right underneath it, you can adjust the audio things. Things like the level, which we will adjust for the music we're putting in later, and we can also adjust the channels left and right. We'll get into effects in just a little bit, but Everything you will import, you will see the video drop into this video 1 channel, and the audio associated with it, if there is audio for that video, drop in underneath it. And as you can see, going both above and below are additional points where you can have other video added and other audio added and layered in and build your video from there. Now, in regards to doing some simple editing, everything, like I said, there is a ton of stuff built into this system that you can go ahead and use. So we've got my main video located in here,
By both the marketing team and the education team.
which starts with my
Good morning, everybody.
and ends with
You all again soon. Take care.
And as you can see, it's very abrupt. As it starts, it ends with me turning on and off the video recording on my cell phone. So what I'm going to do is, as you can see, I can select individually by clicking on things, or you can click and hold and select both items. And now we've highlighted them both, audio and video. You can see both selected. I'm just going to move them over a little bit in the timeline to create some blank space at the beginning of the video. Now I can grab my bumper and drag that right here. And as you can see, now they're layered. So they're on top of each other. I don't need this additional extra audio, so I can select it by just clicking on that alone, and I can see it highlighted, knowing it is the only thing selected, and hit my delete button, and just like that, it's gone. So now, that will play in silence. And I can take this and adjust it over, and you can see it drag. There's tons of quick snap points, and your video will snap right to the end of that existing video. So now I've layered two videos, and when one ends, the other starts. And if I even wanted, I don't have to keep them on separate timelines. I could drag that down by clicking and holding and dragging, and they will share the same timeline now and go right next to each other, because there's no need to overlap them, because I'm not layering these sequences in any way to do anything too elaborate. Now, if this space, if you wanted to look a little bit tighter at that, what you're looking at, you've got a little bar down here that will allow you to move left and right, much like anything that you would work with on any program. You've also got two right here, separate for the audio and video. What we're going to do is click on the end, and as you can see, my pointer turns into a finger. If I click and hold, I can shrink my bar down and zoom in on the timeline, changing the scale. Now, instead of each second being a little gap that we saw, now each second is a big amount of space, and we can see how close these things go, and they indeed touch, allowing for a seamless transition. This is where stuff can get fun and where you can really utilize built-in effects that are in the system. Going back to this panel right here, you can go ahead, you can go ahead and click on, we've got our project files located right here, but you would see right next to it a button that says effects. I'm going to click on that, and that will bring up our effects window with all of the preloaded audio effects, color presets, which are these Lumetri presets. You've got audio transitions, video effects, and video transitions. I want this to, instead of going from that black to snap, good morning, everybody. Let's say I wanted a nice smooth transition. So I can click on video transitions and open that up. I can go into dissolves, and we can just grab a simple film dissolve if that's the effect I want to use. And it's just as easy as clicking and holding, dragging that item right in there, and you can see it get highlighted and dropped right into the frame. And now, good morning, there is a fade in, and if I wanted to make it a little smoother, I can adjust this and drag it over that a little bit and dissolve it this way. And now it'll look like this. Good morning. We want to do the same thing for the audio. The audio kind of just starts abruptly. So I'm going to minimize my video transition, go to the audio transition, do the same thing. I'm going to choose exponential fade, which is what it sounds like. It'll exponentially fade something automatically from from a 0 point to the max volume on the file, or from the max volume in the file down to nothing, based on whether it's being put at the start or the end of the clip. I want it to go right at the start of this clip, so I'm going to pick what I want, which is exponential fade, drag, and let go once it's been highlighted right on that audio clip, and just like that, the effect has been added. And now if I click to preview,
Good morning, everybody.
the audio starts a lot less abruptly. I can even click on the effect itself and open it up in this window, and it's at, 30 seconds right now. If I wanted it to run longer, I could. I could do the same thing for the effect. I could adjust this. Instead of 14 seconds, I could make it 60. And now, instead of starting at the cut, I could center at the cut and have it go
Good.
like that. You could do whatever you would like. And again, let's say I don't like that specific transition. I could switch it to a dip to black by dragging it, dropping it there, and now I've replaced it with that instead.
Good morning, everybody.
So I feel like it looks better instead of just having it smash right to my face. Again, this is one of those software, much like any kind of editing software or PowerPoint or Excel, where I'm a very big proponent of get your hands dirty, make mistakes, have fun. These are a part of your marketing that is, creating videos to entice your consumers and provide relevant and real information to them in a way that is easy for them to get to. And that keeps your face a presence in their life. So go in here and just utilize some of this stuff and figure out what it is. Now, I've got the front of the video done. Let's go ahead and move to the back. I'm going to make this big. I'm going to drag my marker. You can drag and click and hold and scrub like this. Or I can jump right to the end, and then we can zoom back in and look at the end of our video.
Take care.
Now, instead of having that end abruptly like that, we're going to do the same things. I can go to audio transition, exponential fade, and drop that here. We can even click on that effect and make it longer. Hit a number and then hit enter. And then now,
You all again soon. Take care.
the audio will fade out. We'll do the same thing for a video transition. We can go to a video transition. I can grab, dip to white and put that right over the video.
Take care.
You could do dip to black.
Take care.
Film dissolve. As you can see, it's just as easy as dragging whatever you want and placing it where it goes. So now we've done that, and now I've got this big empty space and me talking over a video.
I just wanted to, as always, reach out.
Let's say like in my assets folder, I've got a little music I just wanted to have going underneath the whole thing. So we're going to go back to my media browser. As you guys saw that real quick flash, autosave. Guess where that autosave is going? It's going to my project folder in my project, the actual marketing listing folder that I have. So just in case anything crashed, anything bad happens, all of those files, I can get right back to that specific point. Moving on, I digress. That just happened and I wanted to note what that was. We are going to go back to our media browser and go back, click on Project May 20. And I can take this audio that I had gotten from the YouTube library. And again, we're going to drag it right to this audio 2 and put it right there. As you can see, that song runs way longer than my video. So there's two things we can do. You've got a ton of great tools right here, and we've been using the pointer the whole time because all I'm doing is pointing and selecting and editing things. You've also got, let's see if I hover over if it will give a description. No, it won't. Oh, darn. All right, I'm going to make these bigger. Doesn't really make them bigger. What we've got here is a tool. This one is going to allow you to scrub time in between cut videos. I'm not really going to play with that because you're not going to use it too much. nor will you use this tool, but the cut tool is something that comes in handy. And as you can see, it turns this little razor will allow me to literally choose a spot in a file. So if I wanted to go to the end of this clip here, where our song runs over long, I could choose to cut and have a seam placed. And now there are two audio files, A and B. You do the same thing with videos, same thing with audio, anything like that. And you can cut and create two different segments. Now I could just delete the rest of this segment as is. Or I'm going to erase that by undoing it. And just to talk about some of the rest of these that you might use, you've also got what is a hand tool here, which will allow you to grab and scrub the timeline, and a text tool, which will allow you to add text to any frame that you would like at any given point. It's a graphic, and then you would edit that in the graphics suite. Again, that's a little bit more advanced. I'm not going to go into that, but a graphic gets added to the video panel, and you would edit that from there. I'm going to go back to selecting my selection tool. And the other way to edit this, and the same thing you can do with videos, is so you don't have to, if you cut something and delete it, it will remove it from the sequence. But if I want to save the video that's here just in case, or in this case, save the audio, I can click on that and you can see where it turns into that little reddish arrow. Let's move us back here to the end of this song. That little reddish arrow, and I can now drag and shrink this file down to the rest of the video, which now will end the song right here with the rest of me, but not delete it from the file.
And I will check in with you all again soon.
And again, obviously that ends the process. So what we're going to do is we're going to edit that. We're going to jump in here. And obviously we don't need it to end at the very same point. So we can let that extend out for a second and a half just to sound like a nice pretty close. And we will go right into effects, go into our audio effects, and there's all kinds of stuff in here. Mixers, volumes, equalizers, tons of stuff to play in. We're not going to play with those too much. Again, more advanced. We're going to go back, add our fade. I'm going to grab the fade and make it a little bit longer, which is the same thing as going into here and adding extra time to it. And obviously, this is background music, so it's very loud and it's overshadowing my talking. So I need to calm it down. So I'm going to go ahead and select my audio 2 file by, again, just clicking on it. Now it is the only thing highlighted, which will bring it up in the editing panel. I'm going to do two things to make it easy for my consumers to distinguish this from my voice, because my voice right now is coming out at full volume that it was recorded out of both my left and right channels. I am going to take the music, and first off, we're going to remove the timestamp from the video. Big note, leaving the timestamp somewhere on the video will make any edits that you do in the field, in our case to the audio, starting from the timestamp point you have selected. If we want to edit the whole thing, we are going to deselect and move that marker off of the video or right to the very beginning. Either or is fine. And I'm going to select my audio, and I'm going to go right here to the level on volume. And we're going to go ahead and just turn this down, maybe to 32. And now we can test it by clicking here.
That you should be looking out for, as well as obvious.
That's too quiet. Again, trial and error. Let's bring it back up a little bit.
Obviously, give you a list of all the classes I am teaching this week, so you guys have a heads up.
That's nice. It's soft. I'm going to probably keep it right about there. And one thing we can note is the video doesn't start right from the beginning. So what I'm going to do is, again, move us all the way back to the start so we're not editing somewhere specific. I'm going to use my cut tool to cut the song from where the video starts and where the bumper is, which has no audio underneath it. And I'm going to keep the stuff at the bumper right at 100%. So from the get-go, we have music at 100%. And then it can transition to the lowered volume by, again, grabbing our exponential fade, putting it right on that cut we just made, and it'll lower itself.
Good morning, everybody. Happy Monday.
And again, that might be a little too low. So let's go ahead and select this file and move this to about like 15. Negative 15. Let's make it. Oops. Because we're going to bring it under 0 decibels to a negative side to make it quieter than my main voice. And I'm also going to pick this audio that is running underneath my voice and push it all the way to one channel. So we're going to basically delete it by minimizing the right channel. So now my music is only coming out of the left ear and my audio and my voice is coming out of both. So if I go from here, and that we only edited that on this side, not this side, so you guys should be able to hear the transition.
Good morning, everybody. Happy Monday, and welcome to the start of another new week.
But for all intents and purposes, let's say I am done editing my audio transitions. All of those are fixed. All of my transitions are cut. If I wanted to do any color editing, you can go right by clicking on this color panel, and that will open up that section I had right here. There are tons of built-in LUTs that are already there based on different cameras. So you can choose one and have it automatically color correct. Or you can adjust things like exposure, contrast, highlights, all of that yourself. There's a reset button to get you back to 0. But again, for all intents and purposes, let's say we choose something. And let's say that is our edited video, right? You've got all kinds of different color aspects. Again, these are a lot more advanced. I'm not going to go into all of those. We're just talking basics. Let's say my basic video is edited now. It starts like how I'm going to start. It transitions. My information comes across the way I needed to, and it ends nice and clean.
As always, have a great week, everyone. Reach out to me if you need me. Use the marketing form for any business-related requests, and I will check in with you all again soon. Take care.
All right. Now that our video is done, we can go right up here to File and hit Export. We go to Export and hit Export Media. This is going to bring up a window that will have our finished product. Again, a lot of advanced stuff in here that you can play with, none of which that you need to. Output name is something you're going to want to click on. This is where you can choose where it's going. So again, I'm going to choose my listing concierge assets. Sorry, wrong class. I'm going to choose my marketing videos. I'm going to choose May 20th. And I'm going to title this video May 20th video, right? That's what I want to call it. That's what I'm going to call it. Save. That is all set. You will see tons of editing panels for your videos, audio, multiplex, effects. Don't fuss with any of these. You don't have to. All we really want to do in our basic pass is go ahead and take a look at your bitrate settings. I would always recommend move this number up to 16. To avoid any technical jargon, this is just the refresh rate at which the video will refresh when it is uploaded to online platforms like a YouTube. 16 is right about where the ideal is for that. That's all you need to adjust. Don't change anything else. It's another class, it's another day. Other than that, make sure maximum render quality is checked. Use previews box is checked. Don't worry again about anything else. Source range will be what are we doing? It should be the sequence itself. Whenever the sequence starts and ends, that's what we are exporting. Once all of those settings are completed, go ahead and hit export. Everything else you can leave as default because all of that was set up. All we're really doing is changing the name and adjusting those bit rates to 16, and hitting export will start to create your video. And my video is not very long, so as you can see, in about 60 seconds it will be done. It'll have been saved in my project, not in the actual project folder, but the project files will all be nicely saved there, and you will see a completed video in that day folder in my videos file. We will go see that together in about 30 seconds, but that is the basics of operating in Adobe Premiere Pro. It is a absolutely fun tool that could be very much a strong part of your marketing strategy. It is something that if you invest in, you can use it, as I said, for basic stuff just like this, all the way to doing big projects and whatever your heart desires with it, and let it really flow and become a part of the marketing arm of your business and grow with the rest of your brand as you see fit. As the video is complete, you will end up back on your timeline where you can save the project again one last time and then go ahead and exit. Once we have closed the program, you will see everything where it is supposed to be. I go into my marketing videos. I can go into May 20th. Again, if I click on project, everything I need for my project is right there. And my completed video is May 20th. And now we have a finished video that you can upload wherever it needs to go. I am going to go ahead and stop sharing my screen and open up the field for questions. I'll also check the chat box, but feel free to unmute yourself if you have any questions you would like to ask. Only question in here is software price. It is $29.99 a month, I believe. I don't know if there's any specials going on right now on Adobe's side, but I include a link to a free trial that you can use to start with and play around with to see if this is something that you would like to use, and then go on from there. Are there any other questions that